Okay, so welcome everyone back to the show. Glad you could all tune in tonight. Tonight we have another very special guest Mitchell Taylor. G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, thanks, Dom. Thanks for having me, mate.
Not a problem. Listen, just quickly introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from and a bit about yourself.
Yep. So obviously, my name's Mitchell. I'm from Brisbane, Queensland. Um, I've been shooting for geez, probably most of my life, to be honest. I've been shooting since I was, yeah, geez, I can't even remember. Very, very young kid. Grew up just shooting rabbits and hares with a 22 out the back of a ute at a local property out of Queensland. And yeah, it's kind of just dwarfed from there. I grew up and got my miner's license and, got into shooting pigs and all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, when I got a bit older, it turned into hunting deer. And now I've, turned into shooting NRL 22. Yeah, something I really enjoy doing.
Shooting NRL 22 in America.
Oh,
Who could
yeah.
imagine?
Yeah, I never would have thought in a million years I would have done that. Especially twice.
Man, that's unreal. I watched with so much interest. I was so,
Oh,
yeah, man, that was
thanks.
unbelievable. How did you feel?
Look, to be honest, I was pretty happy with the end result. Obviously, during the competition, I was just focused on my process and what I was doing. Wasn't even worried about scores. I was just focusing stage on stage, just following my process of how I do things and just sticking to that. So, yeah.
Well, I haven't followed my process. I haven't followed any of my questions on my notes.
Yeah,
So let me
that's all
backtrack.
right.
Have you shot many other disciplines?
No, so I've done a little bit of everything. So I've shot, shotguns, done a little bit of pistol, but nothing really like competition orientated, like I'm with NRL 22. Yeah, so it's just pretty much been NRL 22 to be honest. Like I said, did a little bit of pistol shooting, but I realized pretty quickly that just wasn't for me. So.
How did you first get into NRL 22?
So, a mate of mine that used to work for me, he used to shoot PRS up at Biggendon quite regularly. Used to train with Scotty Patel and a couple of those other guys. And so, yeah, obviously something happened up there, and NRL 22 kicked off, and he was still working for me at the time. So he was like, "Oh, we should go and try this," and I was like, "Oh, nah, not really. It's not really for me." And then I happened to just stumble across JJ's videos on YouTube. And I've watched, I think it was probably first 4 or 5 videos. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to try this because I found myself like critiquing not what he was doing, but a few of the other guys. And I'm like, oh, they could build a better position doing this and, to get more impact. And I'm like, yeah, I got to try this. I got to
Interesting.
build a rifle and I got to try this. So that's where it started, and it's just it hasn't stopped. It's been a giant rabbit hole for me.
Very deep, expensive rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. You start thinking about it at first. You're like, oh, it's just a 22. That's going to be a pretty cheap exercise. Yeah, no, definitely not.
Right. Well, God bless JJ. I started on his
Oh
video.
yeah, there you
So,
go.
so tell us, how was your nationals in America?
Honestly, it was amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. It was probably one of the most fun matches I've ever shot. Um, it wasn't I didn't find the course of fire that hard, but what I found, it was more mentally challenging than say like physically challenging. So you had to really be on your mental game for the match, and that's what I found because they tried to make like an easy target sequence, sorry, an easy prop to shoot off, but then they would trying to make you each shot or transition would be different from what you would be used to. So it wasn't quite just like near to far. A lot of the times, like one of the stages, we were shooting off tires, and it was a 10 round stage, 10 different positions. Sorry, 5 different positions. But each after 2 rounds, you had to actually change your magazines after every 2 shots. So you've really had to like mentally prepare yourself for that. And obviously there was 3 different targets as well in different locations. So there was a lot that you had to try and process at the same time. And yeah, it was a lot of fun like that. I really enjoyed it.
Did a lot of people come unstuck at that stage?
Um, there was a few people that timed out, mainly because like they would fumble with their magazines or they would drop it, or like some guys were dropping one and holding the spare one in their mouth. Like there was all kinds of different things being tried, and yeah, it was interesting to see. So I
So,
was lucky. I was the last shooter on that stage, so I got to see what everyone else did, and I'm like, righto, well, I'm going to do something different here.
so you basically just had fun. There was no, you didn't
Yeah.
feel, were you confident going in?
I was. So obviously we had a practice match the weekend before. One of the guys in, I can't remember the state now. They graciously hosted us one of their matches. They even actually held us the day before the match, so we could zero our rifles after all that traveling, make sure that we had data, make sure all the rifles were good. And then yeah, the next day was their NRL22 competition, and I was lucky enough to win that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of hurt a few of the Americans. They didn't really like an Aussie coming over here and beating them. They didn't think that was going to happen, but hey, it did.
How exciting. I remember when you messaged me, I thought, oh God, what a great lead up to your
Yeah,
nationals.
yeah, no, it was good. It definitely helped boost my confidence. That's for sure.
So for those that don't know, let us know, where did you finish? Tell everyone where you finished, where you placed.
So in the US finale, I finished 13th, and I took out international champion for the match.
Yeah, that's unreal. Congratulations. That's unreal.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, tell everyone what's your gun, what's your build, what's your barrel, chassis, scope.
All right, all right. So I do have it in the background here. So I am running a Voodoo 360. It's got the standard Ace barrel, which is 22 inches. I've got it in an MDT ACC Premier, so this is a Gen 1. Obviously, I run the SkyPod, and I have the new Zerotech Trace Advanced, the 5 for 30 by 56. So yeah, great. I'm very humbled to say that I am sponsored by Zerotech and received this optic in February, and honestly, it's been a real game changer for me. So I absolutely love it. It's been a
Good.
fantastic optic. So,
Yeah, they make nice glass, don't they?
oh yeah, like this one here's the Japanese glass, and yeah, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, I haven't got my hands on one yet. I work in a gun shop and we're waiting patiently to get one in.
Ah, right. There you go.
Look at them. Um, all right, so what ammo does it like the best?
So I've actually only ever shot Ely match until our Australian finale. So I found up until then I had one really good. I had about two or three really good batches, and then I ran out of ammunition just before the finale, and so I did a little bit of testing, and I think I tested about 6 or 7 different batches, and this particular barrel didn't like any of them. So I had to kind of go back to the drawing board. So I ended up landing on 10x. So it's a little bit more expensive, and the current batch that I've got was shooting incredibly well. I did find another batch that shot even better again, but I actually couldn't get any more of it. It wasn't available. So yeah, I ended up with the current batch, and yeah, I'm very, very happy with it.
What sort of groups do you get at 50?
So at the moment, I'm getting anywhere between, depending on the temperature, because it is 10, I have found that 10x is actually quite temperature sensitive. So most of the groups I'm getting around about 0.1, 0.17 up to about 0.2, depending on the temperature. If it's cold, it will blow out a little bit. If it's warm, I'll get really, really good grouping.
And what sort of groups do you get at 100 with it?
At the moment, because I measured yesterday at our local QMRC match, and I think I was getting just under an inch at 100.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You can't cry about that.
No, very happy with that. Very happy. The other batch that I tested that it really liked, I was getting some really, really good ESs and SDs of 1 and 4, but unfortunately, just couldn't get any more of it.
And how are you situated with ammo where the part of Australia you're in, how are you situated with ammo? Can you get it?
Where I am currently for 10x, because it is so much more expensive than Ely Match, then yes, I can get it. So I've actually got about a case and a half of Ely 10x at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
I'm pretty sorted for the rest of this season. Luckily, very luckily.
Righto. Yeah, that's good. Barricade bag preference. What do you run?
So I actually run a Schmedium. I've actually got two of them now. I bought an additional one when I was in the US, only because I found that my wax on my first bag is kind of gone, and I found the bag's just starting to like lose all of its grip. So I end up grabbing another one. But yeah, Schmediums, mate, they're very very good, very good.
Get a
I
lot.
pretty much, yeah. And look, I started off with a medium straight off the get go. So yeah, very happy with it.
What do you use to gather data?
So I have two different ways of doing it. So I run a phone app. So on an iPhone, it's called Ballistic AE. It already has pretty much every caliber out there. It's got data already for every brand, all that kind of stuff in there. So you can actually just simply go on there, add your temperature, enter your velocities, and then you can change the increments into like 1 meter or 5 meters, yards, whatever you want to do it in. And I found that very, very helpful. And I ran that for most of last season, up until I think it was about February, and then I moved to a Kestrel. And yeah, the Kestrel has been a lot better, especially for giving me a better wind call. It's been much better. Been a very good investment.
Interesting. They aren't cheap either, are they?
No, they're not, unfortunately, but they are worth every cent, to be honest. I mean, you don't need a Kestrel if you're only shooting out to 100 yards.
Yeah.
I found the Ballistic A was on point. If not, I found it actually easier to use than the Kestrel,
Yeah.
especially out to 100. But going past that out to say 300, the Kestrel is far better for fine tuning and then being constantly accurate when you can update the temperature and the having multiple different targets and getting your different wind distances and wind holds, I should say. Sorry. So yeah, works much easier for that. That's for sure.
That's a great answer. Do you find from 100 plus is a different ball game, like with 22?
So what I have found, especially between the app and the Kestrel, what I found is the main difference is past 250.
All right.
So once I found you get up to about 225, 230, and the Kestrel in the app is pretty much spot on. But anything after that, then I find you have to true the curve in the Kestrel
Right.
because it will always be different.
Yeah,
That's
interesting.
that, that's what I found anyway. So
Very interesting. What's a normal training routine for you?
so I don't do that much training. Probably the biggest bit of training I do would be dry fire training.
Yeah.
That's about it, and that's purely just to help me build the right positions and keep my fundamentals on point. I don't actually actively go out and practice the courses of fires or anything like that. I'm the sort of person where I just like to show up to a match, be given the match book or look at it and just go from there. I think that's a key to making a successful shooter, because you've got to be able to have that ability to do that. Like training's perfectly fine, and obviously it's a lot of people do it. I've done it previously, but I've actually found it's been more detrimental to me, because obviously the conditions when you train versus the conditions on the day are always very different. But that's where I prefer dry firing. Obviously, for learning to shoot in wind, that's where the training pays dividends. But yeah, I've just found that obviously because I've been a little bit stingy with ammo as well because I couldn't quite get the lots that I wanted. Yeah, I just found the dry fire the best.
So would it be fair to say once, like positionally, once you work all that out, it's set?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, because I suppose
So yeah,
in NRL
yeah,
22, like because the barricades are known, once
yes,
once you go through everything a few times, like the sawhorse, both knees
yeah.
down, don't press on the prop, all those sorts of things.
Yep, that's exactly right. Exactly right. Obviously, it is helpful to um, like do the dry firing because then you can actually build the position and you can learn from it. Like early on when I first started, every now and again I would actually film myself doing it,
Yep.
dry firing, so that way then I can look back and go, oh, okay, I'm doing this wrong. Even though I might in my mind I might not be doing it wrong, I might be thinking that I'm doing the right thing, but at least then I can film myself and go, oh, okay, well, hang on, I don't have the right 3 points of contact, or my leg's not parallel. If I'm, going down, build a position, my leg's not parallel in the right spot. Then I'm not having the contact from my elbow to my knee. Just simple little things like that, which all help with stability.
Yeah, right. But as you say, you must have done a fair bit of positional training to get to where you are now, where you're comfy with that.
Yeah, a little bit, but for me, my main thing was just to shoot matches and get that experience under my belt. Like I don't. The only prop that I actually own and have is the new pyramid. That's it. So I've actually found that's probably one of the best obstacles or props, I should say, sorry, to train on because it's so versatile and you got all those different heights that you can learn to shoot from. And I'm only small and I can still shoot from the top runner on that thing. I'm on my tippy toes, but I could still manage to pull it off somehow.
Did your normal training routine, did it change in the lead up for the American Nationals?
So it's funny, right? I actually did zero training between the Australian finale and the US finale. I did nothing. I think, sorry, I lie. I went out once just to make sure my long range data was sound. But other than that, I did absolutely no training at all.
Yeah.
I was very busy with work leading up to that, and I did lots of travel interstate. So I just did not have the time, and I wasn't home enough to be able to actually train. So yeah, I kind of just had to rely on the skills I kind of had and hope for the best.
Were you nervous going into the Nationals?
No, no. Like I said, if I've got a set process on how I do things, and once I follow that, I find I can get into my shooting groove very, very quickly. So, because the only thing I'm then worrying about is what's happening, and like trying to remember like the stage brief, and then remember my dope from there. And that's yeah, to be honest, that's about it.
Stay true to your process.
Yeah. And the big thing is just, and I've always found with the process is if you're last in the squad and you're seeing other people do really well, don't change it. Just don't change your game plan. Just stick with it. If you've made that game plan in your head, just stick with it and keep going.
Great advice. Great advice. Greatest NRL 22 achievement to date?
That would have to be the US finale for me. Obviously, the Australian finale as well. I got third for the season, so I was very very happy with that. But yeah, the US finale, going over there and getting 13th and top international. That's my top for sure.
Oh, man, I was cheering at home here for you.
Thanks, mate. I,
What's
uh, I broke my cardinal rule. I shouldn't have looked at the scores after day one. A couple of the boys actually approached me and they're like, "Oh, do you want to know?" I'm like, "Oh no." I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, no. You got to tell me." I shouldn't. I shouldn't have. I just should have said no. I just want to keep going. But I reckon someone in the interim would have told me. So it is what it is.
for sure? What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Or best piece of advice I've been given. Or that's got to be that's the hard one actually. Um, Let me think.
Because you've
That's
had
got to Yeah. Oh, I've had a lot of advice. Probably my best thing is keep it simple, especially if you're new and getting into it. Keep it simple. Don't go out and spend big dollars and thinking you're going to do the best at your first match. Just keep it simple. Don't try and keep up with the top guys. Just, learn the fundamentals of marksmanship and have fun.
yeah, good advice. Good advice. Um, so is that what advice would you give to a beginner now? Start now.
Yeah, probably the same thing to be honest, mate. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. Don't go there expecting you're gonna, beat everybody. Just go there, have fun. Yeah, collect your data and have fun.
So where to from here? What are your new goals?
So my goals for this season, I want to try and win the finale in wherever it's going to be held at the end of the season. That's my goal. I'm
And
really working towards that.
you're pumped for that.
Oh yeah, very much so. Bring it on. I did want to go to Worlds, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to this year. Just got a lot on with work, so yeah, I think it's yeah, just the Australian finale for me. That's my goal.
Good on you, mate. I'll with any luck, I'll see you down there, wherever it is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's a great sport, isn't it? Do you
Uh,
find is it growing where you are? Are you seeing an improvement in numbers?
yes, so month to month, we're seeing the growth. Especially at QMRC, it is growing. Obviously, now that Imble's kicked off as well, I've gone to pretty much every single one of those matches, and again, same thing, just new faces each time. I think the sport, the way it's going, is it's just going to continually grow, to be honest. And look, I love the sport, huge advocate for it. I'm happy to help everyone, if everyone and anyone, especially at a match, if someone needs some gear, just yeah, let me know. Happy to help out.
Yeah, yeah, you're a great ambassador. We have it. I think the Australian in the Australian mob, we're lucky to have a lot of good ambassadors.
Yeah, yeah, we certainly do, mate. 100%.
I think that could be the same could be said for like every nationality really, but because I know a lot of you fellas down there, it's yeah, I think we're very lucky.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely.
All right, mate.
No
Listen, thanks for your time. I know we had a bit of
problem.
a rocky start tonight.
That's okay, mate. It happens.
I did.
Silly technology.
I can let all the listeners, the viewers know that I did actually press record, um, but I was late. Mitchell couldn't get on, but we made it.
That's it, mate. That's all that matters. We got there in the end.
Thanks so much for turning up, mate. If we
No
didn't have you
problem.
fellas doing this, it wouldn't work at all.
No problem, mate. Anytime.
All right, mate. Well, listen,
Thanks.
thanks so much,
No worries. Thanks for the chat, mate. Appreciate it.
and best of luck moving forward.
Yeah, thank you. You too, buddy. You too.
All right, mate. Catch ya.
Cheers, buddy.